that we're going to talk about is named Antonio Vivaldi. He was he was alive from 1678 to 1741. He is Italian and he is known as the Red Priest. He was a composer and a musician. He was a very, very, very talented violinist as well as a teacher. He was born in Venice and lived in a couple of different places. One of his most famous works is The Four Seasons. You've heard it before, I'm sure. He wrote a lot of concertos, which is when you would have a solo instrument, like a violin, playing back and forth with the orchestra. So it'd be like the orchestra plays and the violin plays, sort of like a back and forth thing. He also wrote a lot of opera, maybe the estimate is around 94 operas over the course of 25 years. One of the things he also did was he was the teacher at an all-girl orphanage where he taught the orchestra. It's called the Ospedella della Pieta. So what he would do is he would write for these women and he would teach them, and they actually became like very, very good and were known for their music and were asked to go perform places. They would have to like hide or like behind a screen because it wasn't normal for women to be performing at that point in time, but their music was renowned. But it's kind of funny though, because so he worked for this orphanage, but he never really got along with their board, the people in charge. And at one point he was fired. And so he had to go do stuff on his own for a year or two. And then they asked him back. Like it was a unanimous decision. They wanted him back. So maybe he was a little hard to work with, but he got results, and they realized that after they fired him. Concerto features a soloist accompanied by an orchestra. Another thing about him is, it says that he's a priest. He was a priest, but he didn't really serve as a priest. His health was not that great. He wasn't able to make it through as the priest at services. So although he had the station of priest, he didn't actually serve as a priest. He was admired by the Holy Roman Emperor Charles VI, so much that Vivaldi quit one of his jobs and moved all the way to Vienna again to try to become the main court musician for Emperor Charles VI. Unfortunately, though, not too long after he moved there, the emperor died, and he really couldn't get a job, a steady job as anyone's court musician. And so he eventually got, like, within a year, he was sick, and then he died as well. So Vivaldi died penniless, even though his music at the time was renowned. And after the Baroque period, his music really wasn't performed all that much. It didn't come back until the 1900s or so. And now it's used a lot, and his influence is still heard and found. So that is Antonio Vivaldi.